Today is June 20th, 2025. It's currently evening time and I am driving on my way home. You can just ignore the video again. I don't really have a good substitute for that at the moment. I'm working on a solution, but I'm not quite there yet. I might get a new mount for my car so I can do rants while I am in transit or before I leave or something like that, so that it can be better equipped. Also, ignore the giant ass watermark on the right hand side. I still haven't yet decided whether or not I'm going to use a different editor or keep with the current one. I like the current one because it has all the functions and features I need. I really don't see myself paying $100 for something like this. So I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna try to bring the overall time of my rant videos down just a smidge. Typically, I used to have them somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes long. I've been told time and time again that maybe I should cut them down by about half. So to try to get to that point, let's get started with today's rant of the day.
If you gave me just one choice, to lose my mind or lose my voice, there's nothing to be said. I'd rather kill myself instead. All the noise is teasing me, impairs my sight completely. The difference is at hand.
So recently, my wife and I had a conversation. And we have these conversations on a continuing basis. You know, what are we aiming to get? What are we aiming to do? Are we aiming for a new house? Are we aiming to save up for a new car? What do we want with our lives? And I think that that is a good, long, healthy communication key that you should have with your partner. But not only with your partner, but also with yourself. I think that if you haven't had the conversation with yourself of what do I want and how do you start planning for that, if you haven't had that conversation with yourself in a while, well, maybe it's time to revisit that, because things change. Things constantly change. You might have a very great, awesome job and then be let go. You might have no problems with your car whatsoever, and then suddenly you have a flat tire and now you've got to shill out money for a new tire. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you can try to start planning for what will happen next month or next year. What do you want to do? And personally, I think that everyone should constantly have this thought in the back of their mind. How do I want my life to be? Because you don't want to be looking back on yourself and going, damn, I really wish I insert thing here. Obviously things happen and you can't plan for everything, but having an overall idea as to what you plan on doing works really, really well. For example, I really don't want to be renting for my whole life. I really want to own my own home. So my wife and I are slowly starting to build towards that goal. Well, what do you need to do to own your own house? Well, your credit needs to be good right out of the gate. You need to have some money saved away to be able to put down a deposit or a down payment. And then once you know, okay, I need to fix my credit, I need to save money, well, how much money do I need to save? So then you do the initial look around and try to say, okay, how much is this house? How much is that house? How much of a house do we really need? Where is that house going to be? How much is it going to cost? And then that way you can go, okay, I now have an idea. And you're going to look at some of these things and you're going to go, there is no way in hell I can afford a $200,000 house. Well, That's the beauty of houses, is you don't pay $200,000 in one go. You know, you pay a certain amount down and then you move. I'm not saying the house we're looking at is that much, because for fuck's sakes, no, it's not. But that's just an example. Same thing goes if you want a new car. If you want a new car, you need to know how much is the car that you want, and you can kind of keep that car in your mind. I really want a new Mustang. I really want a new Mustang. I really want a new Mustang. And then kind of work towards that goal. As long as you put forth the effort, then you can make it happen. It might take a little bit of time, but you have to constantly remind yourself, this is what I'm working for. This is what I'm working for. This is what I'm working for. And, you know, it doesn't hurt to print out a photo and look at that photo every day. This is the kind of car I want. This is the kind of car I want. And make yourself a little mantra and work towards that goal. And you can make it happen. But obviously, if you don't put forth the effort, it's not going to happen, right? You know, you're not going to wake up one day and somebody's gifted you a brand new Mustang. Life just doesn't work that way. So, you know, if you want a new house, if you want a new car, if you want a new job, if you want a promotion, if you want anything, you have to put forth the effort. And, you know, you might be telling yourself, you know, I can't really get a promotion where I'm at because there's not really anywhere else for me to go. I'm at that point right now. Okay, well, why do you want why do you want a promotion? You want a promotion because you want to make more money. Okay, is your job going to allow you to make more money if you apply yourself towards a raise? If that's true, then yes, you can still make more money. If it's not true because you've hit a certain career point in your current line of work, say you work in retail and you're already a manager and there's no real where else for you to go, well then, what can you do? How well can you do that? And let's move forward in another way. Maybe it's time to brush up on your resume and start looking around. People say that the job market is scarce, and in some places that is very, very true. But maybe you can find something that is yours and you can make it work. And you just have to look around and you have to try and you have to trust that you can make that happen. I've seen a great many things come out of nowhere. Where, for example, there have been many times where I myself have either been fired or let go, or I had to transfer for whatever reason, and things just did not work out with the job that I had. And I had to kind of build myself back up from the ground up and start all over, brand fresh and new, somewhere different. And sometimes that really sucks, because you know you get into a certain routine, a certain swing of things. I can do this, I can do that, I'm going to wake up at this time, I'm going to go do that, and then the shit just hits the fan and your life kind of gets turned sideways, and now you've got to figure it out all over again with a brand new job, with a brand new manager, with a brand new everything. You can make it happen. You just have to try. You have to know that this is what I have to do, and you have to push yourself through it, and you can make it happen. If anyone here needs any advice on that front, whether it's an idea on how to make a resume, whether it's an idea on, you know, maybe you've only ever worked retail and now you want to be a manager for something else. Well, maybe there's certain things that you might want to brush up on or you need to know. And, you know, if you go on Indeed, there are actual quizzes and things that you can take to kind of brush up on some of those skills, which is really, really neat. If you go on LinkedIn, you can actually speak to, obviously not everybody's open to having, you know, random messages, but you can actually look around and go, okay, this company is in my area. Maybe I can look on LinkedIn and find somebody that works at this company and ask them how it is to work there. So that way you kind of can get an inside idea before you even apply. Or maybe, like I had worked retail for quite a long time, and I entirely transferred over to a marketing position at another company in Ocala, and I had never done marketing before. That was really, really interesting. And although, it was entirely new to me, the skills that you learn from one job still in some ways can transfer over to another job. But back over to trying to, plan for the future, I think that sometimes you just, go old school, get out a piece of paper and write down 3 things right now that you want to have happen in the next month. And then if you can't think of 3 things, then broaden the spectrum to the next year or the next 5 years and go, hey, what can I make happen in the next 5 years? Well, I can't fix my credit in the next month. That's just not possible. But I can probably fix my credit in the next year if I really put my nose to the grindstone and pay off some of my debts. Okay, well then that's a goal. Pay off debts. And then kind of move down the line and, break down what you want into more realistic ideas. Sometimes, maybe you need daycare. And, you want to be able to spend more time with your kids because everybody does. But maybe right now you need daycare. So how can you manage daycare? What can you do? Well, you need transportation. You need a little bit of money to be able to pay for that service. Or you need to know somebody that can watch the kids. Who do you trust? And so kind of break it down little bit by little bit. And although it seems like a lot, when you break it down little by little, it's not as overwhelming as it seems. And you just have to trust yourself that you can do it, you can get it done. And obviously, from time to time, we need help. And if you need help, you just reach out to somebody. It never hurts to ask someone for help. Even if you just need someone to listen to you while you vent, while you rant a little bit about your life, about how hard work was today, about how much certain people just suck in this world. Getting things off of your chest is a good way to keep your mental health solid. And if you can keep your mental stability to a certain point, you can accomplish anything. So I just wanted to have that little tidbit for everybody, and I'll try to steer into some more interesting topics with some of my future rant videos. But for now, that's all I got for you today. Feel free to share this video if you found it interesting, leave me a comment, anything like that, and I'll see you next time.
The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. So wake up, Mr. Freeman.